It's Thanksgiving. It's Thursday, November 24th, 2022. I'm taking inventory. I'm in a house I don't own and is not mine. In the area, they have something called a fallout shelter posting from I don't know what, but it's on the telephone company. My children are not with me. I have one of my four after a lifelong set of problematic circumstances that led to this spot on stepping stones and whatever that means. So I'm looking at the window to some reality that other people get to take part in that I'm not a part of. They get paid for it. I don't. Um, I'm getting over a cold and I'm also having not only I'm having quality of life issues with the ability to stand, run, and perform at physical peak fitness for some form of either viral, bacterial, environmental, not quite sure if it's the living ecosystem and how it interacts. So I'm looking to this television for some clues and some answers. There's some interesting things in where the state governor, the colors that they choose for this. I mean, the other day they put up something on NCIS, which is like naval crimes, um, investigative service, I think they mention. And it's the red and the blue, and there was some military mention. And then they're fighting the red and the blue over this mattress. And I'm thinking to myself, if under the mattress is where the money is stuffed or lay hidden in this red and blue fight, since I know what the flag looks like here, there's some game somewhere called Manhunt the kids used to play, something called musical chairs, and something called Capture the Flag. So I'm looking at this television knowing that the federal system right now is under blue advisement and the state's under a blue governorship. And I'm still being hurt. It's gone through several cycles of red and blue, but yet under this mattress, as the money under the mattress, since the green linen, the green and cream linen they call money, has the family portrait system that looks familial at family tree of some sort, at some existence, um, which goes back to the blue that they call here has always been navy. Call it navy blue. I don't know. So I don't want to get confused with other pieces and parts of colors and things. Um, they also had something when um, in my children, in Benjamin's youth, that was called Blues Clues. Now it's turned over to something called Bluey, which is Australian. No idea what that's about, but it's in the Thanksgiving Day parade. Big floats, big balloons. I'm like, there's symbolic reference and all of that. So I'm looking at some of just the commercials. I'm doing like they say at the Super Bowl. Um, I mean, again, like rose colored glasses on. I'm just looking at these symbolic. This one says Innovations Lab, Purina Tidy Cats. I remember in Lloyd Harbor Elementary one year, they paired me with Carlson, and we had to come up with an invention, he and I, in some kind of group setting. He was the male lead, I was the female lead in that group. Um, and it had something to do with a litter box. That was what we were tasked with for science fair. Didn't know what that word was either. There was a lot of learning to be done about these big vocabulary words like a science that they were, I mean, like they weren't household words. Lou was an investment banker and Lynn was a hairdresser, so it gets confusing at where these words come from and why the other children seem to know a lot more than me when I enter the building. And trying to be like, we're in a learning institution. If I don't know something, when is it a good time to point that out so I can learn? Like, I thought that's what we entered the building for. Didn't realize it was some other masked process in entering a building and being held captive together while some period of time elapsed. Just gets confusing. I mean, we were safe, I thought. Although, who knows who was in the classroom at any given time and what their parents were into. Again, they didn't give rosters of nationally secure. Like, were we nationally secure in that building? I mean, like, these are things I think of now. Was I exposed to some outer countrymen and some possible problematic future event? I mean, like, wasn't spoken of then, but now my hairs are standing on edge in, like, how did some crazy donkey, I mean, like, he's not even film, like, his facial features don't even on film work out properly. It wasn't a caliber that was anything I was ever going to be accepting of. So here we are at the Tidy Lab, Purina Tidy Cats and their innovation. Here's one of the commercials. One of the other commercials is Liberty Mutual Insurance. It's a pie eating contest. And then the seagulls come down over the contestants and try to like interfere. It's really quite telling. Then there's some Progressive Insurance that was on a different episode of CBS this morning. And that was the Progressive Insurance Company had kittens there as well. It was Kittens and Mittens. There was a band all dressed in blue, and having to break the news to one of the kittens in the band. And then there's also this mention, they came out with this American, it's game day. Here's like the setup, ready? Here's the pitch. It's game day. It's an American football field. And they have this one guy that walks on the field with his baseball glove and a basketball to the football game. And then they start playing football. Then all of a sudden they pan out because it's Mattress Firm. And then it's the guys laying for sleep time on a mattress. I mean, like, again, I don't want to talk social equity here because I think at some point that's an argument, which I'm not even in that conversation at the moment. Been left locked in a series of rooms that one seems to get worse than the next. So I thought like these commercials and the references of these commercials are very interesting that they're putting up there. Again, this Tidy Cats litter commercial, it's performance based. I'm just saying. I mean, they make a point of that.
At the Tiny Cats Innovation Lab, we live to solve litter issues. Odor control? Under control. Absorption? Absolutely. Pumping? Conquered. Performance is part of every Tiny Cats litter. No wonder we're America's #1 litter.
Now, here's this Liberty Mutual pie eating contest. I mean, again, it has the Statue of Liberty back here. And then there's like mon enfant or les enfants in the front. or the, I don't know, sometimes they call it the infantry, who knows, but they're here eating this pie, and then all of a sudden the seagulls come in out of nowhere. I mean, the birds, oh my, the birds, another theme of like nobody,
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Liberty Mutual. They customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
only pay for what you need. Oh, that's amazing. Is that like a self-defense fund? I mean, just, I don't.
Ready? Go! Only pay for what you need. Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's Jake. This one was on E232. The other commercials were E234.
We love your pets as much as you do. Like this guy in a hat. That's why Progressive Car Insurance covers your pets for up to $1,000 if they're ever in a car accident with you. This mini majorette's gonna march your way right in.
I'm sorry, can we stop? I know that we're selling car insurance here, but, you know, all the cute little animals.
Car insurance, is that like the two on top of the mattress that are fighting for these, I suppose, potential dollars of fuel, the vehicles that cause the health problems, the paradigm shift, how it's being spent at the health facilities, the education of the children who are going in the doctor and nursing field, and then the lawsuits that may come up along the way. I'm just curious. Is that what you mean by car insurance? Or are we talking in actuaries and actuality for like the bumps, the dings, the dents, and the incidentals along the way? I mean, it gets really confusing how you're explaining the health ministry and like the morally eligible and then the morally corrupt, how things are being run at the fight over the mattress and then what's going on in the money and the bills underneath the mattress.
It's too much.
Define too much.
What's wrong with cute animals?
So we doing this or what?
Nah, it's over.
Well, someone's got to break the news to Mittens. She's a diva.
When you can barely.
Now, here's this game day where it's the football game. It's the football game day. And then they put some Davis 19 on the field with a basketball and a baseball glove. I'm just saying, it's what the visual inspection machine says. And it's mattress firm. Just saying. I also have a piece on the same episode, which is CBS This Morning, which is E234. A very respectable man by the name of James Fry, who is quoted as saying, sometimes what a video doesn't show is equally as important as what it does show. He's from he's from Moscow, police chief, but that's Moscow in Idaho. That's inside the North American territory, just so nobody gets cutesy with, like, it's still the same flag that I have here.
Brought your baseball glove to basketball practice that turned out to be football practice? Game on, junk sleep.
Junk sleep.
During Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700.
Queen for a king, king for a queen, saving 700, up to 700 in Seal Lee. Interesting. Again, I'm reading the symbols that they put on the board, and then it says beauty rest.
Dollars on select mattresses. Plus, get a free adjustable base. Shop now.
An adjustable base now. That's an interesting theory.
Shop now at Mattress Firm.
My son was.
Now, I'm in New York with this flag. I would have never even known in all of my years if it wasn't for this window and this time frame that there was a place called Moscow inside the USA or inside the same territory. If I'm talking from my local, regional, and long distance phone carrier, without international being taken into account, I've heard the word Moscow used more as an international calling plan than I have as a long distance internal domestic carrier. No idea why.
Press conference Wednesday, Moscow's police chief issued another plea to the public for any additional evidence from the night of November 12th to the morning of the 13th.
Sometimes what a video or picture doesn't show is equally as important as what might be there.
The location of the murder weapon.
Again, this is a totally separate story, but for my purpose, it was important. Just the name that I've heard referenced with a completely different everything that I know nothing about as international callers that I never call, as opposed to a long distance internal domestic carrier. There's crossover with some of the labels between other places and whatever. And then at branding, it just seems to get all jumbled up. They also mentioned this morning, which I'll go through the parade, however I go through the parade. Last night, one of my news the news helicopters on one of the local stations that I watch was very, I thought they did like this piece, almost like if somebody gave them a voice to voice some local thing going on as opposed to like a long distance thing or a regional thing or like whatever. But they have this like position in the local TV news station where they're like the family like you don't reach out to. They reach you every day and you see them, but like I guess you call them a family, you call them a group. I don't know what you call them, honestly, in like the construction of a logic to how the television works and the psychology behind how do you connect with the things on the TV. I really don't. I mean, they're just in the moment. There's a specific crew that seems to have some kind of, and then they even had this football player on, I forget his name, I think it's something Sims, something to do with the Bills and the Cowboys. And I watched him this morning. They made mention of him. And then one of the local New York, I don't know, you call them talent, you call them personalities. I don't really know. His name's Vlad. He mentions to this football professional, he called him Shelly. And I'm like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, again, that was quite out of the ordinary. And I'm like, now what does he know? Why would he be calling him Shelly? Is that some producer in his ear? Because the other day I was talking about Shauna was in his ear. To call out this Shelly, like, again, like, are you in your shell and have on your best game day face? Or when you're out in amongst the everybody else? Or, I mean, again, I'm just left alone in a series of rooms. And the man that holds up the sky and all of the nights, he sent one of his most valuable players. In fact, I think I've seen a handful of most valuable players in my life frame. Where the problem comes in is it never came to fruition in the respectable category of nights that were sent from the night sky or whatever holds up the night sky. Just as a lonely lady on an Atlantic island that knows nothing else except that somebody cared once upon a time to invest in my parents and myself in some way, in my upbringing and upkeep, until something happened and it was totally cut off. And then going into season of children and childbearing and in finding a career and one's place in the world was completely cut off from ability to do so respectfully. And that's a really big problem. And it's a really big carry forward problem that I've been in some vow of silence about. But it is just like, it's just getting worse. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.